But let's dive right into this presentation that I have prepared for us. I have, hopefully, sorry about that. So I have a little agenda. So I just always like to review the museum's mission and point out just how extensive the volunteer support really is in making things happen for the museum. And then we'll talk about how the museum is currently operating. More so now than ever, there are constant changes. So on a quarterly basis, it helps to review what is actually happening right now. Then I have a few great, exciting trio of things that I want to point out. And then I can talk through some of our known, anticipated, and current volunteer opportunities through about July. And then there will be another opportunity for something like this, either hopefully in person or virtual, live or recorded. I don't know, but stay tuned for updates. I'll refresh next steps for different volunteers wherever they are in their current contact with a supervisor and an active assignment, or still kind of waiting to see what strikes their interest most and the museum's need. And then we'll have hopefully a couple minutes for questions. So the museum's mission is to connect people to our community and inspire curiosity by collecting, preserving, and sharing the Chippewa Valley's historical and cultural resources. We have 10 paid staff is what it says here. We're actually currently a little bit understaffed because we did have a staff retirement. Dory Betcher was our business manager. I believe that was her final title. She changed titles a few times. She has retired, and we have Frank Barbie, our facilities engineer, stepping in also as our finance manager for the time being. And I think we're still looking to figure out how to sort out all of our job responsibilities because it's a lot of work. And this is where volunteer support becomes absolutely vital. Everywhere from the business and finance end of things with our boards, which are all volunteer boards. And Becky has a great wealth of experience knowing all the things that come along with board service. And we have this stereotypical museum work of collecting and preserving that happens in our archives and curatorial space. And then the sharing portion is predominantly through the museum exhibits and access to exhibits. And we definitely need volunteers for effective visitor services at the museum. We can't share our museum if we don't have volunteers here to help us to greet our visitors and handle admissions and answer questions and answer phone calls. Currently, the museum is open and has been able to remain open since June. We have modified how we've been open a few times. And so just this month, or this last month in March, we resumed volunteer support of visitor services after a time where staff had been staffing the desk and trying to do all of their normal responsibilities plus greet visitors and answer phones. And we're very excited to welcome back volunteer support, and I'm excited to help grow our pool of visitor service volunteers to support our operations. So I'm not going to read you all the text on this slide, but we have all of our precautions in place. We're really excited that so many people in our community are able to be vaccinated. We're still holding to the same expectations for visitors, staff, and volunteers, and being on site with our COVID safety precautions at this time. So that is an update on operations. April is volunteer month. So I had to put a lot of text on here for you great volunteers that came on a Monday afternoon for this live meetup for business. There's another Monday afternoon meetup that's a little bit more of celebration. And it's intended to be more casual. It will involve the director giving a little bit more of a formal thanks, but there will be also door prizes and fun. That's expected to last no longer than an hour. Last year, we celebrated volunteers in kind of a passive virtual way, and I got really brave with my Zoom skills and tried to schedule this live opportunity this year. So if you can join us, I'd love to see you all then. and there will be less screen sharing and hopefully more socializing and fun. There's still all of the other fun things that you can look forward to that I put on this slide, and I'm not going to read it all. The biggest buzz at the museum right now is the Listen Up exhibit. And I don't know how many of you have been hearing about the Listen Up exhibit. Hopefully, most of you know. So this exhibit was supposed to open last year, and then COVID hit. And so we've had a little bit of extra time to sort some things out, and we have a lot of volunteer support through a Leadership Eau Claire group that is helping to get some musicians to stream a performance to go along with the exhibit opening. So we're still in that place where we're not comfortable with large gatherings and live music, but we've figured a way around it. And opening day for this exhibit will be May 1st, and we will be open on Labor Day for the closing day of the exhibit on September 6th. If you use Facebook or Instagram, hashtag CVM Listen Up, I believe there are a few posts out there already. And if you follow that and repost and reshare, repost and like, however you say it, get the word out, that would be really great for the museum. We're excited about this exhibit. So that's at the beginning of May. And at the very end of May, Memorial Day is the point at which we begin our summer hours. So Memorial Day will be a holiday that we're closed. But after Memorial Day, we'll be operating with hours that extend to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays through Sundays. So we'll be adding Sunday as a day during the week that we operate. We'll remain closed on Mondays. There are holidays that will be open. We'll be open on the 4th of July, but it will be more of a regular museum visit on the 4th of July with some other fun scavenger hunt adventure elements to the 4th of July celebration. Again, being careful about promoting gatherings still. But the Log House and Schoolhouse will be open this summer. They weren't able to be opened last summer, but we're excited, and hopefully with volunteer support, that can be a really great experience for all of our visitors. Margaret mentioned the logging museum, and I wanted to point out that our next door neighbor, Carson Park, is home to 2 great museums. I like to think that we are the museum at Chippewa Valley Museum, but Wisconsin Logging Museum operates seasonally during the warm months and tourist season. They're the home of Paul Bunyan Logging Camp. They were unable to open last year, but they will open this year, and we do offer joint tickets between the 2 museums during the summer. So our plans are a little bit different compared to previous years. Thursday through Sunday will be the times that the Wisconsin Logging Museum is open. So that is when we will sell the joint tickets. And it just gives people a discount rather than having to buy tickets at both places. People can buy a ticket at one museum and see both museums for just a little bit of a discount. And now that I've given you all of the details that I think Listen Up isn't even on the museum's website yet. So a few social media posts out there, but other than that, the volunteers are first to know. I love it that way. Our expected needs for volunteer support, Becky mentioned docent work. We really do need to rebuild our core group of volunteers who help with school tours. Margaret has been an amazing support with the docent team for a while now, and hopefully she's feeling brave. This will be an adventure. I do know that the school groups are going to be smaller starting in May, but we are going to have a few school tours through the museum in May. And then there are also social media opportunities for docents that Karen can help fill you in if you're interested in doing research and providing copy for social media posts. Cataloging is a huge need. So Sean mentioned library support. If Sean has time that lines up with our archivist's schedule, then I know that that's a great need that we have right now. It is an ongoing challenge at the museum to align staff schedules with volunteer schedules, and we'll keep working to make that work for everyone. For the development side of the museum, one of our newer staff members is Rachel Meyer, and she is our development manager. She is doing a lot of great work connecting the museum with our community in some new ways. We're hosting a blood drive on a Monday in June. So the museum is not open to the public on Mondays, but we will be open as a site where people can donate blood with the Red Cross. And we need some volunteer support to help wayfinding and other visitor service type tasks on a day when we're not staffing with visitor services for the museum. And thank yous to donors, anyone who's not phone shy and would be willing to speak thanks on behalf of the museum by making phone calls to donors. Keep that in mind as an opportunity to serve. And Rachel Meyer, again, would be the staff supervisor for that sort of role. Visitor services is my favorite to talk about because it's such a big need. It's such a huge component of that share piece of the museum's mission. And I work really closely with visitor service volunteers. My office is really, really close to the front desk. And so we need help with admissions, phones, and the gift shop. Right now, that is where we're staffing with visitor services. But beginning in May, we're going to extend into offering the ice cream parlor. And then after Memorial Day, we're extending services to include access to the log house and schoolhouse. And it helps if the person who is on duty to share the log house and schoolhouse also has training and comfort in terms of stepping in to help with museum store, if there are visitors at the admissions counter, just having more people on hand to help the staff person manage all of those areas. I put the Schlegelman Gardens as a last opportunity with a question mark because I have not been in touch with a volunteer group who manages the garden at the Schlegelman House, which is down on Lake Street and is a property the museum owns and operates, but it's not, the building isn't open on a regular basis, but the gardens are a big highlight during the summer for lots of downtown people will see the gardens and compliment them. And the gardeners do a great job, but they mentioned a couple years ago they need more help. So I haven't touched base with them recently. I know last year they were unofficially working because they were told to disband because we weren't gathering, but I will need to touch base with them. If that interests you though, you will just be able to let me know through completing a volunteer interest form. So the next steps for volunteers, whether you're a volunteer who's been here with the museum for a long, long, long time and you know the ropes and you know your role, just completing an interest form will help me to double check that our contact information is current and that we have a current record of what your interests and skills are for the museum. Sometimes those interests change over time. So if Sean had long time been a library volunteer but is really interested in providing more visitor service support, having an interest form, Sean, sorry to pick on you, having an interest form that states that would help us to make sure that we have people's interests and skills better aligned with the museum's needs. There's also just staying in the loop with the museum e-news, which I think all of you are plenty in the loop on that. But if not, you can sign up, and opportunities as they arise and reminders about what our needs are will sometimes crop up through those. And then if you are a volunteer who has an assignment that you're comfortable with and an existing supervisor in your work area, maybe I know that a few places we had volunteers whose supervisors are no longer here and maybe they're uncomfortable with a cold call. So I can help negotiate that if that's the case. But definitely, if you have a volunteer assignment that you're comfortable with and you know your staff supervisor, you are free to contact them directly. They will work with you to make sure that you have the materials on file and the updates that you need. Just attending this afternoon really covers a lot of the expectations for what you'd need to know. There are the mechanical things about cleaning your workspace and tracking your volunteer time. But anytime you need help with accessing resources as a volunteer, the Google site that I provided the link here, has some great things, or you can just email me and ask. And this is the end of my formal presentation.